Yeah, my name's Ed, and I used to be, a long time ago, a live video art performer. In fact, this is my second time in Bristol, and the first time I was in this building VJing. There was a video event on. Does anybody know Mike Pony? You know him?
Yes.
Yeah, it was an event with him. I think he used to do lots of stuff in Bristol. I don't know if he still does.
He's not here anymore. He's
Okay.
in Manchester.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I did an event here that was really wicked. It was a big party kind of thing. So I was doing projected stuff, but I wasn't usually standing next to the projector when I did things. So yeah, now I'm an artist and an author, and I have 2 graphic novels, which you can buy downstairs if you want, or come and have a look. And yeah, I've done a whole bunch of zines, and I do a life drawing session, which is on hiatus at the moment. We're just waiting for the world to stop ending, and then I'll start doing it again. And this year I kickstarted a book, which I have brought, if anybody wants to have a look at later. This is the proof copy. I'm just carrying this around with me just so people know it's done. It's not one of those, it's not one of those Kickstarters where I disappear with the money and you never see it. And yeah, this is the 7th event of the year. It's been a really busy year. I only started doing comics 3 years ago, really, and things have kind of, feels like it's moved quite fast. So the point of this talk really is to sort of talk about the things that I've done to make things work. Maybe you've got your strategies and your techniques that you're using to promote what you're doing, and I just wanted to share the things that have been working for me. And some of it might be really fucking obvious, or it might be outdated, or it might be things that are not useful for you, but hopefully there'll be something that you can use. Yeah, I've got 5 more events to go this year. It's exciting, it's kind of expensive. I'm hoping I'm going to make my money back from this event, but you never know. So my zine, yeah, I had an annual zine, and it was A5, so this is the collection of it. I'll just show you, well, you can see the front covers there. And it was this portrait work, and the zine was just my collection of like the best work that I'd done that year. And I kept it really simple. It was limited edition. There was only 200. Wow, those colors have come out. Interesting. There was only 200 copies of each zine, so it was a small production. And then they would eventually sell out. It usually took about a year or 2 to sell out. And I did a personalized option, so you could get a portrait drawn inside it. It was sold in the Tate Modern shop. A little publicity thing that I guess everybody probably already knows is like, sometimes people really don't take you seriously as an artist, so they're just like, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, I've got this zine. And they're like, oh, where do you sell it? And then you say Tate Modern shop, and they go, oh, you're a real artist. Oh, okay. Then they just suddenly care. They're suddenly listening. So like name dropping does kind of help, but they should take you seriously anyway. They should just judge the quality of your work. So I do recommend that everybody does a zine if you do anything creative, because if people can have it in their home, it's a lot more, I don't know, sometimes people see it as more legitimate. It's much more tangible and real than anything digital, where people can just scroll past it and forget it. But if it's on their coffee table, if it's on their shelf, they show it to their friends, their partner notices they like it, and they then order, the partner then orders something from your site or something, I highly recommend you just do something really cheap. Whatever work you've got, slap it together, put some staples in it, and get it out there. I put the price on my cover deliberately to commit to that price for all of the zines. And some people asked me to take it off. Tate Modern asked me to, if I could reprint it without it, and I was like, no, I'm committed. I want it to be affordable, accessible art. That was always what it was about. And one of the reasons I wanted it to be affordable is because my prints were a bit more expensive, and it was a chance for people to collect the work if they couldn't afford the prints. And also, sometimes they like the zine so much that then they order a print. So I do my prints print on demand. You get it through the online store. And yeah, I also do portrait commissions, which is another thing that I use the zine to advertise. It has its promotional qualities to it, the zine. It's an art object in itself, but it's also kind of like a catalogue you can order from. And I was doing exhibitions for a while, but that's kind of an expensive gamble, and I'm not crazy about it. It's a lot of pressure and stress, and you don't necessarily make any money. So I've moved into comics, which is where I feel most comfortable, most happy now. This is what I've sort of been doing since I was a kid. When I was a child, I was making little picture books and things. I'd take them to school. I got very excited about it. I used to make my own trading cards at home and things like that. My whole childhood was like cutting and measuring and stapling and penciling and inking. But I started making comics in 2019, just after I finished the last issue of the zine. And I took a year to just think about what the hell am I going to do next. And I was practicing drawing. I thought I had to be at a certain level before I could even start doing a short comic, which is not the case. You should just get stuck in. And I entered the Myriad first graphic novel competition before Volume 1 was finished, and got shortlisted somehow. But before I even found out if I'd won or not, I didn't. I got shortlisted, but I didn't win. I already went ahead and published. I'm really glad I did that. And Volume 2 came out last year, got quite a good reception as well. Both of them I've reprinted. Volume 1 is reprinted 4 times, and Volume 2 is in its second reprint. So I feel like it's doing okay. I couldn't believe how broad the reception was, or the audience for it. A lot of straight people are buying this. I don't know why, but they are. Whereas with the zine, which I thought had much more universal appeal because it was just pictures of guys, I thought more people would want that, but no, it was a much narrower audience. And then this quite adult content about people doing drugs and having sex and getting into scrapes, I don't know, it has a much broader appeal. And it's been picked up by a publisher in Germany, and it's also been published in the USA this year. So that's quite exciting. I'd rather be just self-publishing, but I can't really do that in the States and Germany. So yeah, I'm handing the reins over to other people. And the reason that the German publication came about is because I tweeted my idol. I'm sure everybody probably already does this anyway, but if there's an artist that you love and they have an online presence, send them a DM, or find out where they are most likely to be. Ralph is a bit older than me. Ralph Koenig is the guy that I've collaborated here on this image. He did this chap, that's his this is my main character and his main character, his OC. And we've put them together, which was his suggestion. He wanted to collaborate on this image. I messaged him on Facebook many years ago, because he's like a little bit older than me. He's still on Facebook, still active there. And I just said, I really love your work. It's been a big influence on me. Can I send you my zine? And he said yes. So I sent him the zine. He loved it. Later, when the comic came out, I sent him that, and he really liked it, which was to me, Ralph Koenig is like the Beyonce of queer comics. That's how I've been trying to contextualize it for people. Like, he's such a big deal to me. He's very famous queer comics artist in Germany. He's had 2 films made from his comics. One of them was called The Killer Condoms. Anyone ever heard of this? It's a terrible film. He'll be the first to tell you that. But it's a really funny, dirty, filthy comic. A schwule comic. I think that's German for fuck comics. Anyway, so he was so into the comic. When I sent him Volume 2, he said, "Can you send me 5?" And I was like, okay, this is obviously something's happening. So I sent him 5 with that question, and he handed it to his publishers. He's got 2 publishers out there, and one of them, Manashwan, got in touch, and they wanted to publish both Volume 1 and Volume 2. Didn't offer a lot of money, but then that is quite typical in comics. And he also wanted to write a foreword, and he wanted to collaborate on this image. So that all came about from just sending a message on Facebook chat and just like hoping for the best. And it took him months, I think, before he replied. So I'd given up on it as well. So, it doesn't cost you anything to send somebody a DM. And from that, I've been published and get to actually collaborate with this person who is, you should check him out, Ralph Koenig. He's a lot better than me. And of course, events. I mean, you're all here, so events are great. It's where you get to connect with your community and meet fans and collectors and hopefully break even. But the important thing is making those connections. I always tell everybody, whenever you make a sale, get the person's email. It's so vital to get the email because you never know when someone's going to buy up your favorite platform and tank it. You don't know when someone's just going to tweak the algorithm so that queer people just sort of disappear. You don't know when they're going to start pulling your images and stuff like that. They're going to start messing you around. So just don't rely on any platform. I mean, I'm still relying on Gmail, but I've saved all of these emails. So every time I sold one of those zines through my store, every time I sold it at an event, which is obviously where I sold all of them eventually, I was collecting people's emails. And those are gold dust. When you have anything new coming out, those are the people who've already parted with money for your stuff. They love your stuff more than anyone else, and they're already aware of you. So you could be posting online hoping to get more people aware of you, or you could be staying in direct contact with the people who already have invested in your work. So I just really want to, it was one of my takeaway messages, is get those emails. And think of every sale as the beginning of a relationship, because there are people who, way back when I sold the first zine, they liked that first post announcing it, and that like then eventually turned into buying that first zine, and then they bought the second one, the third one, they bought all 7, and now they're buying it again by buying the book. Like, some of these people have been following me and buying my stuff for 10 years. So I've started to realize that instead of thinking of things of just counting sales, really, think of it as the beginning of a relationship. I entered the Observer Faber competition, didn't win again. I haven't won anything yet, I think, but I placed joint second. I was second loser. And it's quite exciting. Like, it's quite nice to have the recognition. And there was, there was a little bit of money involved. But a lot of people have asked me, like, oh, did it all blow up for you when because now this is on the Observer or the Guardian website. And no, they didn't put any links on any of our stuff, so no one can link through. They didn't say, go and find them on Instagram or anything like that. So it was a nice bit of recognition, but it's not really led to anything. However, if you Google me, that's one of those things that comes up. And yes, 250 whole pounds they gave me for this. So this is one of the reasons why you should always compete in things, because it's going to raise your profile a bit, even if you don't win. It's still practice. You still get to make a comic for yourself. It's still material. You can then do something with that comic. There'll be an anthology coming up. There'll be some opportunity for you to use that comic somewhere else. And yeah, it all works in your promotion of yourself. Tell your followers that you've entered this competition and that you're excited. You don't have to tell them when the competition comes out and you don't win. You don't have to draw attention to that. But it's always worth competing in every competition that you can find time for. Yeah, but online promotion can be a massive drag. And I'm sure everybody here spends too much time on their phone. I know I do. So my advice always for your promotion on social media and so on is keep it manageable and consistent, but actually have an idea of how much time you're going to spend on it and actually kind of schedule it. And either do a little bit daily it depends where you are. Nowadays, at the moment, I'm very quiet on social media because I've been getting this Kickstarter book done, and I really don't want to be on social media talking about other stuff and advertising other stuff when I feel very conscious that, like, I haven't got this book out yet and people have paid for it. So I've gone a bit quiet recently. But when I have an event coming up, like this event, or next week I'm at PrideCAF in the Lakes, that's when I start thinking about, okay, so what days am I going to post on, and how much time should I spend on it. So if you just tell yourself 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes a week, but actually structure it and think about it. And think about how you can involve your followers, ask them questions. Little competitions are sometimes great. It's so worth it sometimes for the buzz it generates to just give away a print or something. Maybe you have something that didn't sell. So that's when you can have a competition and literally give it away and get some value out of these things if you've produced them but not made money out of them. And just always keep it fun for yourself. That is the key. That allowed me to put in lots of work. When I wasn't making any money, when I didn't have any events in the year coming up, I channeled my time and energy into social media promotion. And I gamified it. And this was so exciting to me. It's kind of embarrassing to me. At the time, I only shared it with a few friends. And I'm not telling everyone in the world about this, but these numbers along the top, I got so obsessed with just trying to get a symmetrical number at the top. It's completely nerdy, it's completely pointless, but in this time when I was really trying to increase my following and and make sales every day. Like, this was in a time when I was struggling to make rent, like, so I needed this money. So instead of just focusing on the fact that I was really kind of like, this was a difficult time, I was getting up every day and I was like, oh my God, I have to go straight to Instagram and see if I've like, finally got the numbers to be symmetrical. And then I would figure out what's the next number that's going to be symmetrical. So it was just a stupid, pointless little game that helped for me take the focus off this, crude stuff like money making and strategizing. And instead it was like, oh, my little numbers thing, I can do that today. Another way to gamify it is in my 10 minutes a day, or sometimes an hour a day, depending on how much I wanted to spend on it, I would do what someone has done to me here. He's given me 7 likes, and so it's filled my screen, and so I notice it. I noticed this, I did a screen grab of it. I hope he's not here today, Mr. Teapot. But I recommend that if you want to get noticed by people and you're going to spend some time on Instagram, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can just post stuff, but also go and find people. I think I actually found this guy first and gave him some likes, and then he gave me some likes back, right? And often people will then follow me too, but I do this thing where I find 7 pictures that I like, and I like them, and then it fills their screen, they notice it. If it's someone who doesn't have, 50,000 followers, then they're more likely to notice it. And then they will come and look at my profile, and I don't know how many times out of 10, but some of the times out of 10, some of those people will go, oh, I like what this person's doing, and I'm going to follow them. And so from a like to a follow, and then sooner or later, if they do like it, they'll buy it. And then that relationship has started that can go on for years. And lots of these people who've bought my zine and have backed the Kickstarter and buy lots of things that I do, that's how it started. From something quite shallow, just liking a bunch of someone's pictures. But I found pictures that I did like. I didn't just sort of like the first 7 or something, really insincere like that. Because you give a little and you get a little. And I sometimes, when I was spending lots of time on social media, trying to build a following, I followed hundreds and hundreds of people. Sometimes in a day, I'd be like, right, I'm going to follow 50 people today. I'm going to find 50 people that I want to follow. And just made that some of the work I was doing. I considered it work, and I scheduled it, and it made a huge difference, because when you follow people, a lot of people will follow you back. So yeah, schedule it, gamify it, have fun with it. So yeah, this is some of the stuff that might be so absolutely obvious and people already know it. But here is a post. I tend to use Instagram most. Instagram has been the best for me for engagement and selling things, and people seeing my work and following me. So this was quite a popular post. I use the tech that's there. I make sure I always try and give as much context as possible. So I tagged it in Positive East, because this was some work that I was commissioned to do by Positive East, which is an HIV charity in East London. I see in a lot of people's posts that they don't bother saying where it is, or who these people are, or what you're looking at, and it drives me up the fucking wall, and I just kind of think, why are you wasting my time? Why is this on my feed when I don't know what it is? So I always try and make sure that at a glance you can see, you understand what this is, what you're looking at. Obviously it's just a nice picture, really. I hope people think it's nice. But think very constructively about how you're tagging people in. I see a lot of people will tag in like 100 people on a post. I don't think those posts I don't think that's a good strategy. I think people get really annoyed. I know I do. If I see that, if I get a notification I'm tagged into something and I go and look at it and it's just got 100 tags, I'm just like, block. I don't want to know. I don't want to be used in that way. So I always just tag very strategically, carefully. Obviously, in this case, the person the organization who commissioned me, that's the people who got tagged in. Geotags, also, I would tag them in the caption as well. Not just the caption, not just the picture, but both. And timing is really important too. So I don't know if everybody has ever looked at this stuff. I think it might just be if you have a professional account. And back when I got upgraded to a professional account, I think it was something that was restricted, and I don't know now. I don't know if everyone can do it. I should have found out for this talk, to be honest. But if you have the opportunity to get a professional account, I think it's worth doing. At first, I put it off for ages because I thought, I bet they're going to reduce my reach so that I end up paying for it. That's what professional really means. They want me to pay for it. But it seems to have worked for me so far. This graph as useful as it is, it's basically every day looks like that on Instagram. There's very subtle differences if you flick through the different days. It's all pretty much the same. People are using it in this country in the evening. I don't know about other countries, other territories, but for my account, it's pretty much the same this day. So when I post, if I post at 3 a.m., which I regularly do, obviously nobody's going to see it. They'll see it, they might see it at 6 p.m, but they're very unlikely to because the algorithm, it won't be sticky, it won't be sexy to the algorithm. The algorithm will have noticed that, oh, no one's looking at the post. The algorithm won't go, well, he did post at 3 a.m, let's give him a chance. It'll just go, no one likes this, and it just sort of disappears and no one will ever see it. So my bit of advice that probably everybody knows is to find out when the best time is for you to post. And generally, I post after 6. And that's when you tend to get the best reception, and the most likes in the first hour means that, you know, more people will see it. Because I think if you're gonna bother posting to social media at all, if you're gonna bother promoting, just find out the optimal way to do it so it's gonna work for you more, and then it's kind of less work in the long run. If you're just gonna put things out whenever you remember and not schedule them, then you're making more work for yourself, really. And yeah, caption. All of this information changes as well. All the social media companies, they sort of change their algorithm all the time, quite regularly. And at the moment, apparently, hashtags are out. And they, just like in Twitter, where they don't really use hashtags anymore, it scans the text you've used for keywords. So definitely still put a caption, but apparently, I use hashtags though. And one of the things I recommend with hashtags is whatever you've posted, as soon as you've posted it, I don't usually sort of post and go away. I stick with it and like keep doing some more work. And the work that I do, one of the things I do, is I'll click on these hashtags that I've used and see who else is posting at the same time. That's what you get to see. Who else around the world is also posting queer illustration, queer illustrator, LGBTQ, and all these kind of things. And you can see what they posted and like what they're doing and show them some support. And often I find amazing artists that way. Artists that are not only doing similar stuff to me, but they're posting at the same time. So I feel there's a sort of an affinity going, and this is how you can find your audience and find the people who you have a lot in common with beyond just, I don't know, being LGBTQ or liking art. It's also people who are doing similar things to you, and they're also using social media in a similar way. So I say, it sounds a bit sordid, but click on your own hashtags. And this is some more hard data. I don't know, does anybody else have like a professional account on Instagram or anything? Okay, so maybe this is new to people. But yeah, it's quite useful to see who saved it. That is apparently very sexy to the algorithm. This was 72 people saved this to look at later. It's well worth encouraging people to do it. Just say to people like, if you can save this to a folder, it really helps artists. Like, just let them know that like it's something that supports you. Loads of people will be really happy to just do this small gesture for free once they find out it's helpful for you. As well as comments and likes, obviously they're really useful. And of course, whenever I get a comment, I respond to it. That's apparently really good for the algorithm. All these tedious little things that you can do just to make sure that people actually see your art, because that's really all I do all this bollocks for, is to just make sure people see it and I connect with them and I start those relationships. Obviously, sex sells. This is one of my more adult images. The guy showing his bum off, and I cropped it for Instagram so that I didn't get immediately zucked. I mean, everybody knows, but I sometimes forget that some of my sexier images are the ones that are going to get the bigger results. And 105 people saved that, and over 1,000 people liked it, which is quite modest for, like, you know, I know some people are getting a billion likes and things, but this is the sort of thing I sometimes forget. And it's sometimes, if you're going to post some stuff, if you're going to post a gallery of stuff, think about what the first image is going to be, and maybe the sexiest one is best. Also, red pictures, apparently, well, I've experimented with this myself, and if you have a red image, again, if you're going to post a gallery or something, or if you particularly want to make an impact at a particular time, think about the red art that you have. I wouldn't recommend you make sexy art just for Instagram, or you make red pictures just for your social media and your promotion, but bring those things to the front. And of course, sing when you're winning, if you like. If you have any competitions coming up, or if you're doing anything, if you're going to an event, make sure people hear about it. People are always come up to me, or friends, when I talk to them, they're like, oh, you're doing really well this year. I'm like, am I? And I remember, of course, they were just getting the highlights reel. So for me, I'm like, no, I never didn't get an email back from that thing, and it's been like 6 days. And they're like, oh yeah, but you had like 15 events this year. That's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah. The story I was telling you, of course, is a good story. And yeah, use the tech. Just everything that they're offering you, have a look and see how you can use it. I don't even use absolutely everything that is available on Instagram. I don't use their shop function. I don't really use their email button function very much. But if you can be bothered, use it. It really helps. It really helps the engagement. This was also a post where I got more non-followers for this. So I don't know, if you want more non-followers, I guess just draw someone's bum right up to the camera. That's the takeaway message of this. And offline as well, I've started doing this in all of everything that I produce now. I put in a QR code just so people can really quickly, I mean, they've probably got their phone in their hand anyway or about to reach for it. So give them something to do with it. These QR codes are just amazing. It takes people straight to my site, and yeah, it was really useful to have. I printed it on postcards for the Kickstarter. I think I have a slide later to show that. And I got a lot of backers when I was in Toronto. A lot of people backed the project just because of these postcards. So it was, you know, a sort of analog, old technology of the postcard, but with the very modern, up-to-date internet-enabled QR thing. It was a good combination. It was a winning combination because, of course, on the one side of the postcard is the nice image. It was the cover of the book, the nice pink image. So they got something to keep, and on the other side is the bit for me, where they get in touch and look at my site. And of course, images of your other work as well. It's always like, once you've taken your creator hat off and put your feet up for a second, you have to put your PR and promotional hat on and try and remember stuff like this. Just be like ruthless. Keep people focused on buying your next thing, or at least tell them where they can come and get it. And the Kickstarter, yeah. So this Kickstarter it did quite well. It was, it did okay. It wasn't one of the incredible success stories. It wasn't like that potato salad guy who made, I don't know, $1 million for his potato salad that he said he was going to make on Kickstarter. We hit the target in 3 hours, which I was really surprised by. I was like, oh, I can hi. Once I hit the target in 3 hours, I was like, oh, I'm going to relax on this. I had a whole month planned of push, and trying to get media coverage, trying to get people involved. And when I hit the target, I was like, oh, I'm not doing all that. I'm not doing work. The job's done. I made the amount of money I needed. So I just sort of very gently kept the ball rolling over the next month. But the reason that it did so well in those first 3 hours, because I had spent 10 years collecting emails. Ask them if they want to be on the mailing list, because the next time you have something out, you can market it directly to them. And they might follow you on Instagram and they might see that post. They might not look, that day, and therefore they might never see it because of the way the algorithms work, or if they're following a hell of a lot of people. But if you have their email, it's going straight into their inbox. It's got a link, they can click it. It's not like they have to then go back to your bio to get the link, right? So you're making it a lot easier for yourself and for them if you use emails. And emails are social media. Sometimes when I talk to younger people, they're like, I don't use emails, I use social media. Yeah, well, emails are social media, so take advantage of it. And I have, so on my mailing list, it's 1,001 emails at the moment, which again, is quite modest, but it was enough in 3 hours to make the six grand, I think it was, I was originally asking for. Ended up making 230% of the target, so it was more like 13 grand we ended up with. And in the Kickstarter, I mean, the Kickstarter tells you how to do this, but I told my story as an artist, and I sort of make sure I was bringing people along for the ride. So my recommendation, if you want a successful Kickstarter, I kind of feel it was sort of a fluke, but at the same time, like I said, the real star of the show there was collecting those emails and that long mailing list that went back 10 years, people who've been rooting for me and giving me money for things and meeting me at events for 10 years. But Kickstarter, they give you a hell of a lot of advice. There'll be too much to take in everything. Give yourself a month to plan it. That's what I did. I was just at first I was gonna be like, right, I'm gonna do this in 2 weeks. I have time for all this. And I was like, give yourself time, make that time. so that it wasn't just really high pressured and I didn't make silly mistakes. Keep your storytelling consistent across the thing. I had to keep remembering that, like, oh, I haven't told people who I am, or I haven't told people that, you know, that this zine was limited edition, is no longer available. Like, I had to remember, like, I know this story, most of my followers know this story, but yeah, and make sure in every way you're telling this, every way you're promoting the Kickstarter, that people know what it is, who you are, what it's all about. And run it past other people. Like, make sure you are not the only set of eyes to go over your thing, because there'll be huge, glaring omissions in it that only your friends and other creative people are going to notice. Make a video. That really makes a huge difference. I have to say though, of the video I made, they give you loads of stats on Kickstarter, and only 30% of people watch it to the end. I don't know if that means that they watched it till, like, you know, the second to last second, you know, or whether they just watched it for 2 seconds and went, yeah, whatever, just take my money and stop talking. I just don't know, but only 30% of people got all the way through to the end. It was a long video at 2.5 minutes, so you know, maybe that's why. I tease it and trail it during that month while I was planning it. I was letting people know. First of all, I was letting them know something big is coming, and then I was like, there'll be a crowdfunding thing, and then I like teased the cover image, which I was dead set on it was going to be that image. It's really important not to just like wait till a day and go, oh, I got this thing happening, it's happening now, do you want it? You've got to like build this buzz really slowly. I found that's something I've learned. And get people excited by things like, lots of people want to be the #1. They want to be the first person to buy it. If it's a limited edition thing like my zine was, you know, there'd be 200 and they'd each have a number written in from 1 to 200. So many people really want that #1, or they want a single-digit number. They really want it. Another thing I was really aware of with collectability was I tried to keep the covers, I tried to keep this very consistent design for the covers for the zine, because people get obsessed with that. Just like my obsession with the symmetrical numbers on Instagram, people just love this stuff, or I guess, you know, that's something I have in common with my followers. They like it and I like it, so maybe I'm saying something really obvious. And I contacted people directly with my mailing list, my gold mailing list, and that made a huge difference. So many of the people that I contacted directly, they immediately backed it, or they immediately clicked for a notification, and then they backed it. And have a backup plan. I was convinced that the book was not going to succeed. It was going to make just, you know, £1 under the target or something, and of course it's all or nothing with Kickstarter. So I was just like, what's my backup plan? And my backup plan was just do a lower budget, do a paperback, contact all of those people who did pledge, say, do you want to pre-order a paperback version? So I recommend you have a plan B, just in case you don't make that target. And this was the postcard that I was handing out in Toronto. So on the other side, it was just the cover image, and on that side, QR code, a little bit about what it's about, and just, you know, the real money shot, I think, is what I've really got to sell, is the imagery. More about Kickstarter. This was the, what do you call it, the backer rewards I had. Again, I tried to just keep it really consistent and keep the book the star of the show. And also, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not good at this stuff, so I had to keep it really simple. So in conclusion, get the emails. This is the QR code for my website. If anyone wants to scan it now, you're welcome to. Go out and find your audience. Like, don't wait for them to come to you. Go and look for them. Go and find other artists who are doing similar things to you. If you're doing sculpture, go and find other sculptors. Go and look at the people who've commented under their posts. Those are the people who are that bit more interested than the more casual people who'll just like it or just look at it and scroll past. Have a look at the list of people who've liked it. The technology is there for us to find our audience. They're out there. They're waiting to buy your book, your sculpture, invest in you and come to your event. They are out there, and all you have to do is make that connection. You have to make that first point of contact. And they've put themselves there on Instagram, and they're searchable. And take it seriously as an aspect of your practice, that when the creativity is done or it's underway, you need to put on your promoter hat and be serious about structuring it, scheduling it, think about how you're going to do it, do a bit of research into the platform that you're using, and then just always make it fun for yourself, because it can be a drag, it can be a lot, but it can also be a lot of fun, and it leads to really exciting opportunities. So thank you very much. That's my talk.